Hi everyone, my name is Ruby Jo. I'm a member of the ITFA Emerging Leaders Committee. Today we have the pleasure to have Gregor Mihelač with me and at this podcast. He is the Emerging Leader Trade Financier of the Year award winner for ITFA conference this year. And I'm just going to let him introduce himself.
So, hi everybody that is listening. My name is Gregor Mihelač. I am originally from Slovenia. I've been in Germany now for 2 years. I'm currently a master's student at the University of Mannheim in my final year. I got introduced into the area of trade finance about 2 years ago when I started working with Miss Silja Kalak of Banco Santander. I was there for 6 months until the start of my master studies, but I've been a little bit involved with ITFA ever since. And yeah, it's a huge pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Gregor. In your presentation, so you talk about this revolutionary paper in the AI field published in 2017. So could you tell us a little bit more about this?
Sure. So the title of the paper is Attention is All You Need. It's a little bit of a memeable title. It was a paper published by scientists mostly at Google Brain, but also at other factions of Google. It showcases a new type of neural net architecture called the transformer. Um, a year after the publication of Attention is All You Need, OpenAI published their own paper in which they showcased GPT-2. So the GPT in ChatGPT still stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. The transformer neural net architecture takes a lot of ideas from the field of AI and kind of
Mhm.
mashes them together into one model that works really well. And what was very special about the transformer is that it is very well adapted to current computer hardware. So hardware like the graphics card here that can do a lot of parallelized computing. This is something that the transformer works very well with. So it was adjusted to the way we do compute. Um, this paper really blew up the field of natural language processing and translation, and is blowing up the rest of the world right now.
That all sounds very exciting. Yeah, we heard like on all the AIs on the news all the time, and
Mhm.
the stock market rally around it, all the AI pioneers as well as NVIDIA, who's like the provider of
Right.
GPU these days. So could you tell us a little bit about like how can we apply the AIs in the trade finance field?
Sure. So this was really the main question for me when I was writing my project.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I play with AIs a lot. So on the server that's back to me, I am running all open source AI models and I'm fine-tuning them and adjusting them to my use. I think it's an incredibly fascinating thing that just appeared out of nowhere. Really, one day it wasn't there, now it's here. For me, it was a really tough question because asking what a capable AI can do in trade finance is a little bit like asking, well, what can a really smart person do? Um, I've I've charted out many ways how AI use the current models of generative AI that we have that are transformer based. How can they be applied to trade finance, considering their limitations and considering their strengths? I think for the most part, the way that current state-of-the-art AI can be used by people in the trade finance space is kind of like a assistant. So it's a support to you. The will still comes from you. You get to guide it. It gets to help you create. The reason why I say this is because current AI models are not so reliable as of yet, which means that the market tendency is to not include them in end-to-end processes because these models they make mistakes and they make mistakes at a larger rate than a human being does. They
Okay.
output the work faster, but it's also more prone to mistakes, which requires then a human to double check them. So I don't think we're quite at the stage yet where an AI gets to decide instead of a human, partly because transformer models are black box systems and we don't really understand their reasoning. And a lot of this industry is based on contract law, and contract law requires you to be able to identify reasoning when presenting to a court.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as a sort of a personal assistant that helps you do stuff faster, better than you would have on your own. I think that this is where the current potential of current state-of-the-art AI models is.
So that actually really excites me because I would think of AI as you described as an assistant. So in bank language, we normally talk about like maker, checker, control. So down the road, I can totally see the AI model to be the maker of, say, reviewing a document to note down the key fields, and then a human being or a manager, supervisor in the back that can check the work of the AI model, and then make sure that, as you described, right, to provide the reasoning behind, and to make sure the outputs from the AI is indeed justifiable, and
Right,
then it definitely would save a lot of time because uh, the the making of the task is like takes most of the time, whereas
right.
checking is going to, yeah, it will make our life a lot more efficient. So that's definitely exciting. Um, so
Maybe I
from
add one
yeah.
other thing
Hmm.
is that I think people in trade finance that are incorporating AI models into their decision-making processes should follow what the car industry has done, where they are experimenting a lot and they're really, really aiming for an AI implementation for a self-driving car, let's say, that makes decisions on its own. But they need to show that the proclivity to failure and the proclivity for mistakes is marginally smaller than a human being. If you
Mm.
can prove that a car that drives itself based on AI models leads to a lot less car accidents and death per kilometer driven, like marginally better, then it starts to make sense to implement these models. We are currently not at this stage yet, but I have no doubts in my mind that in some years we will be to a point where an AI checking a document, filling something out, is going to be making less mistakes than a human being. We're just currently not there yet.
So based on what you said here, so do you think the implementation of AI in trade finance, would that be like something that we are going to start right now, or it's something that's like in the 5-year horizon? What do you see the timeline and like of like the broad use of AI in other fields?
So, um, I think what's currently happening is that organizations in general are incorporating AI into their
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure, but this is being done outside of trade finance departments because currently we have kind of a general AI, so a general generative AI. And what's more often the case than not is that if you're a part of an organization in which you have a trade finance department, your overarching company is going to incorporate an AI bot based on ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or Llama 3 or any of the others. They are going to incorporate it on a company-wide basis with a company-wide license policy and terms of use and best practices. And then you will be able to use the current technology, which is not really specifically made for trade finance, but is made to be kind of a general summary of the knowledge found on the internet for your own processes. If this is going to be the time horizon, I think is incredibly difficult to estimate. I mean, anyways, the future is unpredictable in a way you cannot predict.
Right.
Um, I think the progression of competence of AI models in the past 2 years has been immense. I think this is something that is going to impact every aspect of every person's life, not just in the trade finance field. And it's a little bit like with attention is all you need. It's just going to be one day it's not there, and then another day it's there. Um, of course, implementation into end-to-end processes where guys get to decide is going to be a long-term process, with a lot of testing, with a lot of checking over results. Is it a good idea? Who's liable if it's not?
Yeah, especially I agree with that because banking is a heavily regulated field.
Yeah.
So to get not only like the banks themselves need to get comfortable with the implementation, but then they also need to make sure the regulators are comfortable with like AI generated results in trade finance or in banking system in general.
Yeah.
So that being said, what do you think would be like in trade finance, there are various players, right? The corporate, the banks, the fintech, the software solutions, and the logistic companies. And so like, who do you think would like benefit the most from AI and who do you think would benefit first with this like AI wave?
I think it's again a little bit of a tough question because it's like asking which one of these players would benefit most from the internet. I think in reality, the answer is going to be that whoever doesn't is going to get left way behind in terms of productivity and efficiency and accuracy. It's, I think machine learning and AI will really penetrate all the aspects of our lives, and the players in the industry that don't adjust to this are going to be seriously left behind. Who's going to benefit most at first? Probably fintechs, because they have a lot more freedom to experiment with new things and propose solutions and then see what solutions stick in the market and whatnot, as compared to a bank that just integrates a solution and then has its credibility on the line.
Right.
But yes, it is definitely going to impact everybody.
Agreed. Yeah, I think fintech is at a very good spot because they are like tech savvy, and then they have the finance function work directly with the corporates. So I think they will be at the frontier to adopt AI to make themselves more efficient and more user friendly to compete with banks in the trade finance market. Um, so Gregor, so do you think you are going to like what do you want to do for your career after you graduate? Do you think this paper helped you kind of shape your vision and so or like how are you going to like push your vision down the path?
So I've been always very interested in tech. I think it's the closest thing we have to magic. Um, when I worked at Banco Santander with Ms. Kalak on transactions, I liked it quite a lot. I like that I was impacting real business. I think that trade and human exchange of goods and services and ideas is very beneficial. It scales with the network effect. Since starting my university, I've been mostly really focusing on the tech side of things. So, for example, I was an IT auditor at a Big Four. Currently, I'm a software engineer at Commerzbank, where I work in the credit risk analysis side of things. I think those two experiences will prove very beneficial to me if I decide to make my career as kind of an intersection between trade and tech. And this is really where I a little bit see my value is to bridge together the newest in tech
Mm.
with the international exchange of goods and services that promotes human flourishing. What's next for me? It's a bit impossible to say. I just try to see what opportunities there are and pick the best one.
So for the other emerging leaders who's at your stage in your career, like what kind of advice would you give to them in terms of like exploring the opportunities out there?
Um, my advice would be that you can just do things. The only limitations really are the ones you put upon yourself and the laws of physics. Nothing else is a limitation. Even if you were at a certain side of your career on the buy side, sell side, structuring side, working heavily with instruments or whatever it may be, if you're interested into this field, if promoting the global exchange of goods and services brings you passion, my advice would be just do it. You, especially applying to positions that bring opportunities, is always a bit of a numbers game. So, for example, when I moved to Germany, I applied to over 150 positions and got two interviews out of them. One was for a marketing company, and the other one was for a position with Banco Santander. Um, like many other people in the trade finance space, I kind of stumbled upon it. It kind of found me more than I found it, to say a little bit of a cringe statement. But yes, if you see an opportunity out there, if you think something can be done better, my advice is that you can just do things. Those who dare win.
Yeah, that's I mean, so and then like could you tell us a little bit more about like how do you think like going like doing this project and the winning this award like has changed your view, or do you think like you are going to continue and like continue the path on, exploring the AI use cases?
I am very interested in the newest developments in tech, just out of my own passion. I think whatever industry I work in, whatever my 9 to 5 task is, I'll keep in current with the newest developments in tech and try to implement them myself. So when it comes to the newest in web development, or when it comes to the newest in server design and API building, it's something that interests me a lot. How winning this project has impacted me. I think it has given me a lot more opportunities than I had before at the kind of companies that I would want to work at, and what is available for me to take right now. I encourage all emerging leaders to make a project next year or the year after that, whatever it is that you're passionate about, that you are genuinely interested in, that brings you passion as a starting point, and combine it with trade finance, go for it. Even if you don't win, you will learn something, you will meet people, you will network. And I think that's a great thing. It's a great deal for everyone involved.
Yeah, I think because I was a winner for this award last year, I totally agree with you that this doing the project helped me connect with a lot of people in the industry through the mentorship. So how do you think about the experience in Cyprus when you are presenting your project on the stage?
I think the conference in Cyprus was really amazing. It was a sight to behold. I mean, I'm just a master student who moved out of my own country 2 years ago, and to be able to get a sponsorship to go to a beautiful country like Cyprus and spend a vacation there and meet people who are. This is something that I really, really like about the trade finance industry, is that the people that I meet are incredibly verbally intelligent. Like, they are the masters at what they do. And every time I have a conversation with somebody new, I feel like I walk away from that conversation knowing something about the world that I didn't know before, um, which I think is just amazing. It's not like this that you see in every industry, and everybody is so friendly. I think the reason why people are so friendly is because trade finance is really a non-zero sum game. I think probably all games are non-zero sum games, but in trade finance is so explicit you cannot ignore it. It's like the way that we win is if we cooperate, is if we collaborate. If we trust each other, then we both win. It's not this kind of cutthroat mentality as in the rest of finance, where I win if you lose. The more you lose, the more I win. It's not like this at all. Like I said, I have a suspicion that in general, all games are like this long term, but in trade finance, it's literally unignorable. Um, I got
Yeah,
a
I totally
little
agree
bit of a
with you.
tangent. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, that's a really good point that it's we are always in trade finance is always trying to create a win-win situation for all the parties involved. And also, I think the charm of this industry is really it's truly international. A lot of time, the transaction is between like an importer and exporter in different countries. It's like it's a bridge between the emerging market and the developed world. So I think what we are doing here every day really means a lot to the common goods of the whole society.
I agree.
Um, yeah, so thank you so much, Gregor, for being with us today for this podcast. I think that's all we have, and we are looking forward to the next episode.
Yes, it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you also for your time. And when it comes to podcasts, I'm a long-time listener, first-time participator. I hope I did somewhat of a good job. Yeah, and thank you for everyone who's listening.